Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out. And I have, well, I would say my beloved guest really is my beloved. It is beloved.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone.
And beloved is joining us from USA, where, South Carolina?
Actually, North Carolina. I'm in Asheville right now.
North Carolina. And we're going to be talking about the journey to awakening. And this is a fabulous conversation. And in the process, I asked Beloved what was her song that she brings inspiration or peace. And you said?
Awakening.
Awakening. What makes more sense? She's so in alignment. So we're just going to have a listen. Here goes.
Thanks.
We are awakening to the calling of the mystic. Awakening in the flowering of the heart. Everybody melting into presence, overflowing effervescence, rising in love.
We are awakening to the journey of awakening. When did your awakening begin, my dear beloved?
Oh, my goodness. Actually, you know, I'm one of those that came on planet awake.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. I didn't realize that not everyone was experiencing the things that I experienced. And I've had many changes, you know, through the years. In the beginning, as a kid, my parents thought I was a hypochondriac, and I've never, ever sick. I mean, never.
Okay.
But I would have symptoms. And it wasn't until I was 18 that I realized I was picking up other people's energy.
Ah, yes.
So that was early on. And then I had visions. As a teenager, I would read candles. And I was in a dream group with 2 or 3 other people. So all my life, my mother used to say, "Where did you come from?" I came from the stars. I came from Sirius. But my journey really expanded when the angels came in. That was a really big awakening for me. I had never really thought of angels, you know. I've lived my life with fairies.
Right.
But the angels came in when my mother-in-law gave me a stand of crystals. And I knew they were special because of the story that she told me. And I took them into a friend who owned a spiritual bookstore. And I asked her to tell me about them. And she held them and she closed her eyes and she said, "What do you know about angels?" And I said, "I don't know. I know we don't die and become angels, and I know that we all have a guardian angel." She closed her eyes again, and she said, "These were yours before, and you are to keep them with you. They are your protection. And these are the crystals."
Wow.
I don't know if you can see them. They are cut crystals, and I've been able to find out quite a lot about them. And I've experienced a past life with them where they were given to me by my father in Russia as protection. And that's what he told me. And that father was my husband, who's now off planet. So that was a really, really, oh God, that was a big portal for me. And then Ariel came in, and Ariel's my primary guide, and that's Archangel Ariel. So I would say that when it came to really stepping forward in a big way, that
Mhm.
would have been the awakening.
And so how many years ago was it when Ariel showed up?
Oh my gosh, about 30, I think. A very long time ago. You know.
And I just want to make that point because some people are just starting to feel like they're waking up, and or following certain people like online, and there's a lot of people just like Beloved that have been awake the whole time or on this journey for multiple decades that we are now getting to hear from and share and listen and be present to her wisdom. So thank you.
You're so welcome. And as you're talking, the cricket's back. So I'm hearing the cricket, and the cricket is a being that brings good fortune and that awakens us to our intuition. So I think that's absolutely incredible. Thank you, cricket. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you for being here. That's awesome.
That's one of the things I love about where I live is that it's so much nature and so many elements, from the insects to the winds, and there's a great connection.
That's just beautiful. So nice.
So Ariel showed up, and were you?
When Ariel first showed up, I didn't even realize it was Ariel.
Okay.
I mean, they came in. Ariel first came in when I was in a workshop.
Okay.
And they came back, and it was just beautiful, the whole experience. And I was crying, tears were just rolling down my face. But I still didn't realize it was Ariel, as in Archangel Ariel. I thought I was working with Ariel.
Okay.
And they would wake me up. The first time that they really came, the angels came in. This was before I met Ariel. I was asleep, and they woke me up at 4:30 in the morning and said, "Get up and go to the window." I says, 4:30 in the morning. I'm not getting up and going to any window.
Right.
Right? So I heard it again. Get up and go to the window.
Right.
I said, "Yeah, you're crazy." No, I mean, I knew it was spirit.
Right.
I have this rule of 3 for myself.
Yes, me too. I think that must be an unwritten universal rule, because I know I can say no twice, but if I hear it the third time, I'm on it.
That's it. That's it. So I get up and I go to the window, and there's nothing there. I mean, nothing. So I go back to bed. And the next night I hear, "Get up and go to the window."
Mm-hmm.
And I say no. So I hear, "Get up and go to the computer." And I'm thinking, what? This was really early on, those old computers. So by the third time I heard it, I got up and I went to the computer, and I'm half asleep, and I hear, "Put your fingers on the keyboard." Okay. Now turn it on. I turn it on, and my fingers started flying. I mean, I was just writing and writing and writing and writing, page after page after page after. I mean, I have hundreds of pages. But it wasn't until after I met Ariel that they started with the signature. And they sign off with, "We are complete," end transmission.
Right.
And I said, "Yeah, right. And you're really an angel." But I was writing a book with them, because it was another thing they wanted me to do, was start writing books. And I said, yeah. What do you want? Sound bites?
Right.
I'm not a writer. But anyway, the first book was called Ariels Journey. And every time I would try to write Ariel, they would stop it at L, Ariel. And they wouldn't let me go any further. And I would try and try. So that was kind of interesting. But what happened next was even more validation for me, because I met my sister-in-law and we share a birthday, and she gave me this gift, and it was beautiful. We were sharing our birthday gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened this beautiful box, and on the outside of the box it said Ariel. And I'm looking at her and she's looking at me, and she's so excited. She said, "Oh my God, look, it says Ariel." I didn't know that,
Right.
because I ordered this online, but look. So I opened the box, and it's a watch. Remember when the angels first came in and you could buy angel everything?
Yeah.
So on the face of the watch where the 12 was,
Mm-hmm.
it said Ariel. And
Wow.
I said, "Oh my God, it says Ariel." And she said, "Oh, I'm so thrilled it says Ariel." I said, No. It says Ariel.
Right.
And she said, "Well, yeah, it's who you work with." I said, "Oh no, I work with Ariel."
Yes.
And she looked at me and she said, "You are nuts, right? You are really crazy." So everyone else knew I was working with Ariel, but I was still so invested in ego at that point. And it was kind of like reverse ego. You know how that
Right.
is?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, how can little old me be working with
An angel.
Ariel?
Yeah.
With an archangel.
Archangel. Yes.
But I've learned that, the angels are the angels, and it's not about one is better than another or higher than another or any of those things.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of Ariel.
And so in this whole journey of awakening, because it is a journey of consistently opening and expanding to this greater possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
what are like 3 key points that you could go back and say, you know what, beware if these things start to occur in your life because you're on the journey to awakening?
Okay. Number one, I would say 3 things to notice because things are happening for you, the unfolding.
Right.
Number 1 is synchronicities. Right? That's a big one, isn't it?
Right.
When we start having those synchronicities and being aware of it,
Yeah.
then that's a really big deal. So the synchronicities, the ahas,
Mm-hmm.
when we start noticing the ahas, big deal. We're on the journey. And when we start receiving information and answers very quickly and from unusual sources, like if we're thinking about something, like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, this would be so cool." And then someone involves you in a conversation and that's what they're talking about. Or you're in a bookstore and a book falls off the shelf. Or you're watching a film or watching TV, and what do you think? They're talking about what you were thinking about. So these were 3 things that I think are really important signs that you're on the journey, that you are awakening.
Aren't those just coincidences?
Don't you love it? Don't you absolutely love it? I don't believe in coincidences. I believe when these things happen that are synchronistic,
Mhm.
that it's because we are in energetic coherence.
Yeah.
We are in tune. We are in the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the flow of what? Energetic coherence with what? My understanding, with our soul, with our whole being. Because when we come here, when we embody ourselves on planet Earth, not the whole of us comes in. Only part of us comes in.
Right.
And then we seem to
People are
forget.
going, hold on, what do you mean part of us? Where's the rest of us? But that's part of your journey to awakening. So that one to tap into, to explain at this point is, you have to have some experiences.
Exactly. Exactly. So those are like signposts. Yeah. The
Yeah.
other thing is just the knowings.
Hmm.
You know, for me, when I know something, I get feelings usually in my belly. I
A
don't
gut
know where you
instinct.
feel it, but there's usually something.
Hmm.
And I call that our IGS, our inner guidance system. And we come in with that.
Yeah.
And as kids, we know it,
Hmm.
you know, um, and then we're taught to forget.
Yeah.
We're taught that these things aren't true. So we stop listening. So the journey to awakening is back to awakening to our whole self, to living from our whole being, from our wholeness, from our connection to the divine. Because I believe that we hold a spark of the divine,
Yes. Hmm.
that we're beautiful, that we're magnificent beings,
Hmm.
and that we're meant to enjoy life. We come here to experience beautiful things.
Yeah.
We don't come to suffer. We come to just be, to enjoy nature for one thing,
Hmm.
and to enjoy foods, tastes, textures, to enjoy love, you know, sharing ourselves, our whole selves with another being, to birth children, to raise these beautiful awakened beings. We come in awake.
Hmm.
You know? So that's the journey to awakening for me. And that's what all of my work is about, is how we do that. You know,
Well,
how we do that.
it's so beautiful, right? Like I can feel the serenity and the calling of what you're stating. And
Mhm.
I feel that probably people need to listen more closely to what's going on. So what would you like to say about people listening to, just as you noticed with the cricket, like
Good.
most people, even people that are noticing the synchronicities of, oh, I was thinking about you when you called, or I got that parking space I wanted, would have missed the cricket.
I know.
There would be zero connection on the fact that the cricket was there. So there's always more awareness as we journey to awaken, because there's multi dimensions that go on. So as someone starts to listen, what would you encourage them to start to listen to pertaining to nature?
I would teach them or encourage them. I don't like to call myself a teacher.
Right.
I prefer a guide.
Right.
Um, I would encourage people to tap into nature.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that begins with timing. You know, reconnect to nature. And we can do that through several things. I like to call these time portals. You know, we have them throughout the day. We
Mm-hmm.
have changes in nature. We've got dawn to day, dusk to night.
Mm-hmm.
These are natural, energetic changes.
Yeah.
Maybe get used to walking in the evening and not listening to music,
Mm-hmm.
not talking to anyone, but walk in the evening, walk in the morning. What are the differences? What do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
How does the morning feel different than the evening? And then we have monthly opportunities, and that's in the moon cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the new moons, to the full moons. How do those feel? What do you notice about yourself during these times? And then we have the wheel of the year
Mm-hmm.
and the quarters. Like right now, we're at the autumn equinox. What a perfect time, the change of seasons. These are
Or the spring equinox, depending where you are in the world. I just
oh
want to
yes,
make sure our southern hemisphere people know we really do having a global party here. No.
yes, we do. We have the vernal equinox in the southern hemisphere. But either way, we are changing, we are shifting.
Mm-hmm.
These are time portals where things flow. If we can get ourselves into that, if we can get ourselves connected to these changes and bring nature in, connect with nature. Watch how nature changes. In the northern hemisphere, we're going into autumn. The time of harvest, but also the time of coming inward, the time of reevaluating, the time of looking to see what's going on. In the southern hemisphere, the spring equinox, the vernal equinox. I mean, we're coming up to things awakening again, things coming alive. It's the beginning of the year. You know? So watch what nature does. Everything in the southern hemisphere is coming alive. Blossoms are coming, trees. Look at the tree people and what they do. You know, here in autumn, we're beginning to chill. We're beginning to drop leaves. The colors are changing in both places. So I always recommend tuning into nature and seeing how that is. Recognizing the time. Learn to set your body clock by nature and not by light bulbs and not by alarms. If you can, you know, I know that a lot of people need to go by alarm clocks and by light bulbs, but just give yourself that space.
Well, I noticed two things when you're talking about time, and is when my kids were little. So I was taking one to kindergarten and one was still a toddler. And I remember that I was just feeling like the daylight was increasing in the spring, right? And the morning rhythm was just all happening. Like it was like, oh, I feel like I was just starting to blossom and everything was jiving. And then poof, we manually put the clocks forward. And it sends everybody into confusion, or, you know, it was like displacement. And I totally remember that. And I was like, wow, this is like on purpose, just
just to confuse
because it was just like that. And it was just one of those ahas. And then for the presents, because at one point in my life, right, I mean, I didn't care if the sun was setting. I didn't care if I was, you know, watching it go over the Indian Ocean. It was like no different than anywhere else. It was the sun, and it comes and it goes, and big whoopee schmoopee. But now it's like I watch how it's moving here because I'm further north than you. I can see. So when it's right in the highest part, like on June 20th, it's sort of at 3 o'clock, straight out my door, like straight, you know, in that degree on a clock. But by the time December comes around, where it's, you know, at its lowest light, it's about at 5:30 in the sky. So it's shifted that dramatically, where I honor that and I pay attention to that now. But once upon a time, as I said, it was like,
I know. I live in two places. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, but I also live in Winter Park, Florida. So I'm in the mountains and I'm in the sea. Beautiful. And it's very different. When I awaken here in the morning at 7:30 or 7 o'clock, whenever I happen to wake up, it's still dark.
Right.
And I can still be in my chamber at 8:30 in the morning. It's still dark. It's very different than being in Florida, where the sun is out and it's bright. Sunset is different.
Yeah.
You know, and I travel the world, so I'm always changing time zones. But it's, you know, it's fun. But if we pay attention to that, and we can synchronize energetically with that, then I think we're learning to partner we're learning to partner with nature. And we are nature.
Yes.
You know, we are embodied nature. While we're on earth, we're embodied Earth, Earth,
Nurse,
Earth nature.
right.
We have a new word, Earth.
Okay. We're bringing the spring and the fall equinox together. We're bringing spring.
That's it. We're bringing it all together. So, yeah.
So what would be, for somebody like me in the past that had no connection to nature, and I think that was just a symptom of being growing up in the world as we think that's true, is there, it's a disconnect. And as we journey to awaken, we become more present to nature, because that's awakening to our true essence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So coming into this is, you know, as you said, it's harvest. We're going to go within. In spring, they're just starting to blossom and come out and start a new year.
Yes.
Are there some tips that you would give people, or wisdom that you want to pass on that is a good thing for them to know at this point as they're awakening?
Well, again, I think that honoring these times and reflecting. I use time portals as a time of reflection. So as we prepare to go into this season, I always believe that the 3 days approaching and the day are the most powerful days, whether it's new or full moon, whether it's a change of season. So I recommend in those 3 days prior, really taking an inventory. Where are you in your life right now?
Right.
What's there? What's happened? Are you where you want to be? And I journal, but I'm a big journaler. So I do it through journaling. And as I do this, I look at the things I want to bring with me and the things that feel complete, that I'm ready to surrender. And I'm a ceremony girl. So I always create some sort of ceremony to surrender things.
Okay.
For me, I call in my angels. I write things down. I burn paper. I will put whatever I'm surrendering into a twig and just hold it to my heart. And I call in Archangel Michael to help me surrender. And then I burn it and I watch the ash. And that's really important for me. And then I always call in Archangel Raphael to fill that space, because once we've surrendered something, we've created space in our field. So I always call in Archangel Raphael to kind of be there too and bring goodness and love and vibrant health and all of that. And then once I've done that, it's time to set my creation. And I like to do that on the day of lunation or on the day of the season, the actual change. What do I want to create? What's coming? I know people use the word intention. I personally don't.
Right.
Because for me, intention is in the future. Creation for me is active. It's happening now.
Say that again, because I think that's a tweetable.
Oh, awesome.
Because there are many people, they're like, yeah, of course I set my intentions, and they didn't even hear that. They're like so in intentions and they missed that you said no.
I don't set intentions. I create. I do creation statements because I, like you and like all of us on planet, are powerful creators. So intending, well, when does intend happen? I mean, intend's kind of like try. Well, I'm going to try and do this. Well, I intend to do this. And so I would say, well, why don't you just do it? You know, why are you intending to do it? So for me, it's about creating. So I set my creations.
It's beautiful.
And I speak them out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I speak them out loud, it's like breathing life into them. It sets them loose into the universe. And so creation statements, set your creations. So it's powerful.
It's very powerful. And what I am noticing in this conversation is we're talking about respecting nature.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see how the sun has decided to move and the shade is coming more and more.
I see that. I know.
I've been slowly changing the screen a little bit to see, but I'm like, no, I think this is part of the story. Did you notice that, viewer?
Yes, it's absolutely part of the story.
Right?
The old is moving toward the light,
Mm-hmm.
which is really what happens.
Yeah.
You know, we're light beings, we're water beings, we're divine beings, we're creators,
Mm-hmm.
and we move.
And
we
it's
come into the light.
fun.
Yeah.
And joyful.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. You're talking to a fairy woman here.
Yes.
And it's all about joy. It's joy. It's abundance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are absolutely abundant beings.
Yeah.
And joy is that. We have an abundance of joy, of love, of vibrant health, all those things. We keep ourselves from it when we don't have it.
Yeah.
But,
And actually, I don't know if you saw the first one or not, but we kicked off today with Rosaria Langley from Great Britain talking about laughing your way to abundance. So she is, you know, in between, some around our ages, that she decided to follow her bliss and be joyful and went into comedy. And yeah, it is fabulous. So it is that sense of abundance, as we were talking about. It's that joy, it's that presence that you recognize that everything is always provided for.
Everything. And what's really interesting is Ariel is the angel of abundance and prosperity and nature.
Ah, well, and it only makes sense she'd come to you.
Doesn't it? And our last book is called 30 Days to Prosperity and Abundance, an angelic guide to joyful living. So all of the work that I do, all of the teachings are about abundance and prosperity in love, health, and wealth. You know, the three areas. And that's meant for us.
Yes.
You know,
and where would somebody get a copy of that book?
Oh, you can check your bookstores. A lot of the spiritual bookstores have them.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to my website.
Right.
And you're welcome to order it if you would like to. I teach from it. But I've got a new book that I'm working on right now that's taking that a step farther.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on that right now. But yeah, it works really well.
Awesome. So where would you like people to get a hold of you, beloved, that are just feeling so inspired by this conversation that they would like to connect and see where their journey to awakening goes?
Well, my website is katebeloved.com, or they can connect with me on Facebook at facebook.com/katebeloved. is a good place to do that.
Perfect.
YouTube also is YouTube/Kate Beloved. So I'd love to hear from people and carry the conversation further.
I think this has been an awesome conversation, and there's many more to come. So delighted that you decided to share with us here at the Global Party, Healing from the Inside and Out. Are there any last words or feelings you'd like to send out to the viewers?
I would like to send everyone blessings, and I always close things with, may your heart be open and filled to overflowing, and may you awaken each and every one you meet.